Vrindaya Tulsi Devaya Priyaya Keshavasacha Krishna Bhakti Praidevi Satyavati Namaha. Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Now let us offer our respectful obeisances and all. Patitanam. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Krishna Priya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. We'll just pin a lot of things on. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanajari Yamuna Tiravanajari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Stotare Pravakacharya's Divine Grace, Abhay Charan, Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sekaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasati Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna, Gopa Gopinath, Shamakunda, Radhakunda, Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Shri Gangamaya Ki Jai, Shri Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Gyana Termanda Shadgananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Devi Shesha Sunnivari Paschatade Shatarine. Now for my most respectful obeisances unto Sri Guru, who has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge when I was born in the darkest of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We're reading from, continuing our chapter of Pradyumna is born of Rukmini and Krishna. This is chapter 55 in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we're starting again on text 9. Nati dirgena kalena. Nati dirgena kalena. Sakarshni rudayavana. Sakarshni rudayavana. Janayam ashunarayam. Janayam nasanarayam. Vikshantinam cha vibramam. Vikshantinam cha vibramam. Nati dirgena kalena. Sakarshni rudhayavana. Yanayam ashunariyam. Vikshantinam cha vibramam. Devotees. Nati dirgena kalena. Sakarshni rudhayavana. Janayamashinarinam. Vikshantinam cha vibramam. Nati dirgena kalena. Sakarshni rudhayavana. Janayamashinarinam. Vikshantinam cha vibramam. Nati dirgena kalena. Sakarshi rudayavana. Janayam asunariyam. Vikshantinam cha vibramam. Nati dirgena kalena. Sakarshni rudayavana. Janayam asanariyam. Vikshanti nam cha vibramam. Rati dirgena kalena. Sakarshi rudayovana. Janayamasi narinam. Vikshanti dhamma vibraman. Na, not. Ati dirgena, very long. Kalena, after a time. Sa, he. Karshni, the son of Krishna. Ruta, attaining. Yovana, full youth. Janayamasha, generated. Narina, for the women. Vikshantina, who looked upon him. Cha, and Vibramam, enchantment. Translation. After a short time, the son of Krishna, Pradyumna, attained his full youth. He enchanted all women who gazed upon him. Please repeat. After a short time, the son of Krishna, Pradyumna, attained his full youth. He enchanted all women who gazed upon him. And there's no purport. There's a small purport by Jiva Goswami, and I will read a couple more texts that kind of are developing this interesting pastime. Jiva Goswami says, he attained Paganda age very quickly, and Yavana began to manifest because he was the son of Krishna, Karshni, with similar youth. Just looking at him, what to speak of speaking with him, others developed intense emotions of love or unmada. So text 10, maybe we can say it together. Satam patim padmadalayaktikshanam palamba bahum naraloka sundaram suvridaha sotat piti pravukshati prityo patashte ratiranga sauratai. My dear king, with a bashful smile and raised eyebrows, Mayavati exhibited various gestures of conjugal attraction as she lovingly approached her husband, whose eyes were broad like the petals of a lotus, whose arms were very long, and who was the most beautiful of men. Purport by the servants of Srila Prabhupada. Mayavati exhibited her conjugal attraction for Pradyumna even before revealing their true identities. Naturally, this caused some confusion at first, as described in the following verse. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Rati expressed conjugal attraction to him by the movement of her eyebrows. Here is the truth about this. She was considering that either today or tomorrow, sometime in the future, she would reveal the whole truth of his identity to him, and then she would display full conjugal love for him. However, unpredictably, before she could even reveal everything in private to him, her conjugal feelings spontaneously manifested because of her coming under the influence of desire. And Jiva Goswami says 3 verses describe qualities more outstanding than in his previous age. He was most beautiful in the eyes of all jivas or all people on earth, nara lokam, because of his possession of all beauty represented by his lotus eyes, padma dalekshanam, and great strength, pralamba bahum, represented by his long arms. She approached him with affection, with shy smiles and dancing eyebrows and other conjugal gestures. Because she was shy, the smile was slight. And then text 11 Tamaham Bhagavan Karshnir Mataste Matiranyata Matra Bhavam Ati Kramya Vartase Kamaniyata. Lord Pradyumna told her, "Oh, mother, your attitude has changed. You are overstepping the proper feelings of a mother and behaving like a lover." Though endowed with qualities like omniscience, Bhagavan, by the will of Krishna, the ocean of pastimes, his omniscience was covered over, and thus he spoke in this way. The real meaning of his words, however, should be, there should be no other tendency than this conjugal mood you are displaying, because you surpass the level of Vatsalya Bhav and are actually my lover in conjugal ras. Jiva Goswami states, though he was endowed with all powers like omniscience, Bhagavan, he spoke in an opposite manner, since he was the son of Krishna, Karshni, and thus performed attractive human pastimes in a similar manner. Pradyumna thought of her as a mother. This is described in Hari Vamsa. Datra sakashat sachatam srinvan rukmini nandana Mayavatim advijanyan mene sva eva mataram. Since Pradyumna heard about this from his nurse, out of ignorance he thought of Mayavati to be his mother. He thought in this way because of the nurse, not because of Mayavati. The nurse told he was Mayavati's son. Because of that information, he would not have called her his mother without some practice as a child. Therefore, he now became angry. This attitude is different, anyata. You are acting in a different manner. Out of embarrassment, he did not say directly what it was, but then in the second part of the verse, he describes the situation. You are transgressing the feelings of a mother and acting like a lover. The real meaning is, because of your feelings, you should not act in any other way. Te matir anyata. Since you are my beloved, Kamini, your feelings surpass those of motherly love. Matre bhavam atikramya vartase. I'm going to say it again. Om Agyanataramandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yana Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So lots of this is a very interesting little segue, and in probably script writing or movies, this is sort of a storyline development interlude in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yesterday evening, His Holiness Sri Krishna Goswami had come over for prasadam, and we started speaking about this, and he was just expressing that there doesn't seem to be a great philosophical import of this sort of, whole chapter, which is small. And the story is really far out. I also was reading the Krishna book where Prabhupada recounts the story. And it's just so far out, Rukmini and Krishna in the last chapter were married. And of course, he just briefly stated that there was a union. And so then all of a sudden, we hear that a child was born. And when he was 6 days old, this demon that was wanting to exact revenge on Pradyumna, even though, he was a baby, came along and stole him from the delivery room and threw him into the ocean. This sounds very similar to another story we've heard where there was a prophecy that a demon would be killed, and then the demon had tried and tried and tried and tried to kill the person that was a baby that was going to be his killer. We know who that is, right? Yeah, Kamsa. So it's just like a little snippet replay of this sort of demonic thinking that, okay, even though this is already foreseen, it's already portended, it's already predicted, I'm going to try to change it anyway. I'm going to try to to do away with my enemy. I'm going to try to change my fate, basically, is what is going on here, And then what's he do? He throws it in the ocean, presumably a pretty sound way to kill a baby, because 6-day-old baby can't really swim or anything. So baby went to the ocean, and huge, magnificent sort of fish, and it's stated in some other thing I was reading that it was just the biggest, the most sort of beautiful, like the best specimen of a fish that anybody had seen, And there's Mayavati, who had taken this work in Shambhara's chambers because she already knew that she was going to be reunited with her husband, who had been burned to ashes by Shiva. And I don't know if I sort of recounted the story of that. I don't know if it's been discussed, but it was that time when the Devas wanted to shake Lord Shiva out of his moroseness after Sati had jumped into the fire, after her father had insulted Shiva. And so Shiva was so morose and so kind of over it, he was just over the whole, because he's very dhira, So he was there and he was in meditation, and but he wasn't doing his duty, sort of his divine duties in the grand scheme of things. So then the Devas thought, okay, let's send somebody forth so Lord Shiva can be married and start his divine duties. And then Parvati, who from a child had been worshiping Lord Shiva and very much in love with Lord Shiva, just so much, of course that's an incarnation of Sati, but she was very enamored. And then Parvati went to him when he was performing his sort of aesthetic, meditation, and tried to get his attention, in so many different ways. Kind of like another story I was thinking about. She was trying really hard to get Lord Shiva's attention. Lord Shiva just sat there in meditation and was doing whatever, probably meditating on the Lord. And Parvati was, around and gesturing and sort of, and, for any normal person, except for Lord Shiva, that would have been enough, because we've heard about so many sort of celestial damsels that easily, just sort of bat their eyebrows, and then, so many munis and people who are doing penances, they fall in love, but not Lord Shiva. So he was there. Parvati finally actually stripped naked and quit eating and was just sitting in front of Lord Shiva, like, look at me, here I am, look at me, here I am. And he was paying absolutely no attention. His eyes were closed. And then the Devas told Kamadev that he should, go and hit Lord Shiva with some, arrows of love so he can see this person and get on with things, because he was just sort of, and so Kamadev appeared and started shooting his arrows, and Lord Shiva could perceive, and then he opened his third eye and burned Kamadev to ashes. And then, Parvati, Rati, whoever, Rati, was so distraught that her husband had been burned to ashes. So she asked Lord Shiva, she was going to ask Lord Shiva, here's the interesting thing, she was going to ask Lord Shiva to have her husband back, because immediately after, but just like that split second before she was going to ask him, Shambhara appeared. And he wanted a boon, but he forgot his boon because he saw Rati, and he was entranced immediately, like, most of the time happens with these personalities. And he, instead of asking for the boon that was intended, he was intended to ask Lord Shiva. He asked Lord Shiva, I want Rati, I want that. And Lord Shiva was obliged for whatever reason. I didn't get into why Shambhara was able to get a boon. And he said, okay, you can have Rati. And Rati was like, completely distraught. And she was like, I just wanted my husband back. And he said, well, if you go to the house of Shambhara and, fulfill that, then you will all, in that situation and in that house, you will also have your boon granted. So she was like, okay. So then she went to his place, and Rati, and it's indicated from, as we'll read on and throughout, that she is able to summon Mahamaya. She's able to create a smokescreen, to bewilder Shambhara. So she bewildered him, and from what I could discern, it seems like she created like we hear about a Maya Sita, like another incarnation of herself for Shambhara to enjoy and recreate and all the things, to have as his person. And then Mayavati, formerly Rati, now her name was Mayavati, now she took a position in Shambhara's house, knowing that, in some level if she was there, she was going to get her boon, and so she was going to be there. So she had to make herself kind of, she had to embed herself in the household. So she bewildered him, and he was not attracted to the real Mayavati. So she actually sort of went undercover as the head cook in Shambhara's quarters or his chambers. She was the head cook. So she was the one that was preparing, it says, prepared his rice and vegetables. He was preparing all the things. So she was kind of undercover. She was waiting for Kamadev, And then I'm just recounting this whole story because it's so far out. And it's part of, what we were discussing last night. It's so far out. And then, Pradyumna's in the ocean, 6 days old. This beautiful, amazing fish comes, swallows him. The fish is caught, brought to the head cook, because the demons who caught the fish wanted to, present Shambhara with an amazing thing. And, she got the fish, and butcher knife was running down how you clean and gut a fish, and then a baby came out, which, we've heard of that with, where else have we heard that? That's with, who? Jonah and the whale. Well, I was actually thinking of Satyavati, right? When she was in a fish and she came out, and she stunk like a fish, and then she ended up being, what was her name? Yojana, something, the smell for 10, 12 miles. She ended up being beautiful smell for swallow. But, that's the second time we've heard about a fish swallowing up. So anyway, baby came out, and then the butcher presented the baby to Mayavati, who was like astonished, because, you're not expecting that at all. And then she, the baby, of course, maternal feelings were there because you see a helpless child and where's the mother, and then she assigned nurses to him because she had some influence within the household. She assigned nurses to him, and she was also, she kind of knew, obviously, who this was, so she was giving these special preparations, these herbal medicines and this different methods to have him grow quickly and healthy, And so here we are, one day, this was after Narada Muni told her who he was, Narada Muni. I was meditating on Narada Muni, how he sort of just weaves his way in and out everywhere, and he does so many things. And even he was in the Kamsa whole ordeal, and, taunting Kamsa that, well, that could be the 8th child, or maybe that's not how they count the 8th child. Maybe the 8th child was born first because the last child was going to be the first. So, Narada Muni's there. He's always stirring the pot. And he told Mayavati, this was actually Pradyumna, and he needs to kill Shambhara. And So here we are. So there was that day where he sort of just all of a sudden grew up. It's really fascinating in the Bhagavatam where time kind of, time's very different in the Bhagavatam, and it's Prabhupada said it was an astonishingly fast childhood. He just went through Paganda, and then all of a sudden he was at the puberty stage. And thank you. You got to put that on top of that lip up there, and then that'll like create the pressure too. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so now we get to the point where Mayavati sees him and everybody's swooning because all of a sudden he's grown up and he looks just like Krishna. He's got the same luster, he's got the same big lotus eyes, he's got, long limbs, he's very, very beautiful. And it's interesting because Shambhara somehow didn't seem to notice this whole thing as it was happening. So it must have been really, really fast because not that Shambhara was as sharp as Kamsa, but seemingly he would have seen in his own house that there was all of a sudden a baby, then all of a sudden this youth. That looks like Krishna, right? So somehow he wasn't detected. And then Mayavati, meanwhile, she's just, her boon has been fulfilled. She can see that this is, and it's been confirmed by Narada Muni. She understands that this is Pradyumna, Kamadev in the form of Pradyumna. And I was also reading about Pradyumna's position in the Chaturvyuha, which is a whole side topic, but as Krishna sort of manifests, he had Sankarshan with him the whole time as Balaram, but now the storyline is getting a little bit more involved. And then here comes Pradyumna, who has many missions. It's said that Pradyumna in the Chaturvyuha is one of his, not that everything's bifurcated with everybody, Krishna, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, but each of them has, Krishna has 64 qualities, and then Balaram is known for different qualities, particularly strength, And Pradyumna, actually, one of his things that he's kind of known for is virya, or valor. So he's poised to be a great, he's like a wonderful pusher along, or, he's one of a prime mover of this whole kind of storyline that we're into now. So Mayavati, anyway, back to Mayavati, she sees him and she's astonished because she's like, wow, and her attraction can't even be checked. She's so in love. The other women are very shy, and because I'm guessing that probably a few weeks ago, this was a baby, So it's kind of like, what's going on, And all of a sudden there's this beautiful youth, and Mayavati couldn't hold her tongue any longer, because not only did she, she's playing her part as an instrument in this whole pastime, but she just can't check her feelings, her unmada. She can't check that intense love that she feels for Rati. So last night we were talking about how, previously as Cupid's wife, Rati wasn't a pure devotee. Neither is Cupid. That Cupid's actually a jiva with special powers. He's not sort of Vishnu Tattva like Pradyumna. And that by Mayavati's doting affection and love, serving this expansion of Krishna, this is Krishna himself basically, that's when she was purified. That's actually when she became like a pure devotee. And to that end, Krishna Goswami was saying, there's what's in it for, what can we glean from this he was sort of probing me to what can we glean from this whole episode. And there's more to come. We'll hear about how Pradyumna, I don't want to be a spoiler, but, he disposes of Shambhara in an interesting way, and then, more things happen. But, what can we glean as far as what we feel about, or what kind of lesson? Usually in the Bhagavatam there's lessons, right? We hear about different ways we can relate to the pastime to our own lives. And the thing that I found somehow, just sort of a random verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's pursuant to what we were discussing at dinner, because you think of this completely far out scenario, and Krishna's expert at wrapping up a lot of things at once and giving boons to a lot of people at once and all of that, and the greatness of Krishna is glaringly obvious. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 10, Canto 10, and this is chapter 10, text 33. Tasmai tubhyam bhagavate vasudevaya vedase atmadyota gunaischana mahime brahmane nama. O Lord, whose glories are covered by your own energy, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are Sankarshan, the origin of creation, and you are Vasudev, the origin of the Chaturvyuha. Because you are everything and are therefore the Supreme Brahman, we simply offer our respectful obeisances unto you. And there's a really short purport by Prabhupada. Instead of trying to understand Krishna in detail, it is better to offer our respectful obeisances unto him. For he is the origin of everything, and he is everything. Because we are covered by the material modes of nature, he is very difficult for us to understand unless he reveals himself to us. Therefore, it is better for us to acknowledge that he is everything and offer obeisances unto his lotus feet. So when we were discussing, there isn't that much philosophical. There's some, there's always little parts woven throughout, philosophical, hard-hitting, purport or glaringly obvious thing. But actually, when we hear these sort of just unbelievable, seemingly very whimsical sort of tales, and we're trying to figure out, what's going on here, how can we ever figure those things out? It's impossible to know what Krishna's doing from minute to minute. It's really, and you can stand back and you watch it unfold, and it's sometimes shocking, sometimes there's dismay, sometimes there's happiness, sometimes there's distress, sometimes there's fear, sometimes there's lamentation, sometimes there's just unalloyed, awe. There's all these things that come up when we see how Krishna does his thing. But all we can do is just keep offering our respectful obeisances unto him. There's absolutely nothing else that can be done. We can't change anything. We can't control anything. We can't direct anything. We can't really understand anything. What can we understand with our so many defects that we have? We can't understand anything. So, like Prahlad does with Lord Nrsimha, as he's just laying waste to so many things, and all the other demigods, even Lakshmi herself is just doesn't want to get near. He just stood there and he just offered his humble obeisances. He offered his respects. He sang the glories of Krishna. And because we know, even if Krishna is revealing things and you see something unfolding that we know is going to be a little difficult or challenging for us, right? Which I would say happens to us every single day. Actually, my guru was mentioning it last night. I was talking about, this person's gone from the deity department, this person's gone and this person's leaving, and there's a lot of comings and goings, mostly goings, and during Kartik, And he was, he's always concerned, are you going to have enough, coverage? And, I can never say that there's enough, and I can never say that there's too much, and it's okay, because what I see time and time again, even though things happen, you might become distressed, something happens, and Krishna reveals things in a very beautiful way that you can never imagine. And the main thing is he's showing us all of his opulences, and one of which is that we just can't understand him very much. So we can only read about him and pray, hear about him from the acharyas and from our spiritual master and from Srila Prabhupada, and be grateful that we have that knowledge. We have that, to have that faith enough to understand that Prabhupada is going to tell us everything we need to know. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to the beautiful and unexplained and unbelievable pastimes of Lord Krishna. Haribol. Manasa deha geha yakichumor apilo tua pare Nanda Kishore. Thank you. Sure. Every Tuesday, usually. Nanda Kishore Sambhare Vipade Jivane Marane Sambhare Vipade Jivane Marane Sambhare Vipade Jivane Marane Sampane Vipade Jivane Marane Dai Mama Gela Tuao Parabarane Dai Mama Gela Tuao Parabarane Parabirakovi Yo Icha Tohara Mano Virakovi Yo Icha Tohara Nitya Dasa Prati Tuari Kara Nitya Dasa Tuari Kara Janma Bimbae Icha Jaritor Janma Bimbae Icha Jaritor Janma Bimbae Icha Jaritor Janma Bimbae Icha Jaritor Bhakta Grihe Jani Janma Mor Bhakta Grihe Jani Janma Mor Kita Janma Jada Tuandas Kita Janma Jada Tuandas Bahir Muka Brahma Janme Naias Bahir Muka Brahma Janme Naias Bhakti Mukti Spriha Vinaye Bhakta Bhakti Mukti Spriya Vinaye Bhakta Mukti Spriya Vinaye Bhakta Lai Bai Te Tako Sangha Nurakta Tako Sangha Janaka Janani Daitatanaya Daitatanaya Prabhu Guru Bhati Tu Sarva Moya Guru Bhati Tu Sarva Moya Bhakati Vinod Kohe Suno Kana Bhakati Vinod Kohe Suno Bhakati Vinod Kohe Suno Kana Tivinod Kohe Suno Kana Radhanata Tu Hamara Parana Radhanata Tu Hamara Parana Manasa Deho Geho Yagi Chumo Apilo Tua Pare Nanda Kishore Manasa Deho Geho Yogi Chumo Apilo Tua Pare Nanda Kishore Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Shri Vrindavan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Shri Vrindavan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Shri Vrindavan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Shri Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Mind, body, and family, whatever may be mine, I have surrendered at your lotus feet, O youthful son of Nanda. In good fortune or bad, in life or at death, all my difficulties have disappeared by choosing those feet of yours as my only shelter. Slay me or protect me as you wish, for you are my master, and I am your eternal servant. It is your will that I be born again, then may it be in the home of your devotee. May I be born again even as a worm, so long as I may remain your devotee. I have no desire to be born even as many-headed Lord Brahma, if adverse to you. I yearn for the company of that devotee who is completely devoid of all desire for worldly enjoyment or liberation. Father, mother, lover, son, lord, preceptor, and husband, you are my everything. Thakur Bhakti Vinod says, hear me, O Kana, Krishna, O Lord of Radha, you are my life. Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai.
We're going to have Harinam Sankirtan Saturday between 12 noon and 1:30 here in Hillsborough at Weaver Street Market again. So please come. It's going to be a warm day. It's not going to be cold because it's going to be sunny also. So please come out 12 noon to 1:30 on Saturday. Chaito Darpanam Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Treyakairam Yachandrika Vitarnam Yudhivadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pradipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Parvijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smarane Nakala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Charorapi Suhishuna Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahoitaki Twayi Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Budao Kripayata Vapada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashim Vachintaya Nayanam Gadashru Daraya Varanam Gad Gadurudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padamritam Panastunam Adarshanam Marma Hatakarotuva Yatatatava Vidadatu Lampato Mat Prananatastu Saivanapara. The victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of false sense, of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty, I desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but